At the time of recording this video, the highly anticipated Monster Hunter Wilds is merely days away from being released, and like so many others, I have been eagerly awaiting this, left wanting more with each beta test they've released and giving us only a mere taste of the full experience yet to come. Truly, the dawn of a new age of Monster Hunter is looking brighter than ever before. But for a new era to begin, it means the old one must come to an end. An admittedly redundant statement, I will say, but one that still left a rather bittersweet taste, as the era reaching its twilight is the one that changed it all like never before. And so before we all make our way to the Forbidden Lands and carve out the 6th generation as both veterans and new hunters alike, I want to take some time to say goodbye to the 5th generation, at least for now. Monster Hunter World was for me the most anticipated release of that entire year. Other games from the previous year and yet to come out definitely had my attention, but my gaze was fixed on Monster Hunter World. The trailer showing off not just remastered graphics, but completely modernized gameplay for both the hunters and the monsters themselves had me more excited for a game than I had been in years. And when it finally came out, I was blown away. Simply walking through the beautiful scenery of the ancient forest for the very first time is still a memory I cherish greatly. In particular, I remember looking up at that massive tree in the center of the forest, thinking it was just a beautiful centerpiece, where the actual playable terrain was built around. Because they now had the power of modern consoles to fully render and animate highly textured backgrounds, I thought the sky's the limit. But how happy I was to be wrong, as I climbed to the top and just looked out at the beautiful skybox. I was completely starstruck, truly realizing that a new age of Monster Hunter was here, and it was beautiful. Only to then panic because a Rathalos showed up behind me and I was completely unprepared to face something like that at this moment. But when I finally calmed down and continued to make progress, just seeing all of these new monsters brought back fond feelings of when I started, looking back on monsters from older games that I had never fought before, except this time we were all now seeing them for the first time again. And the 5th generation had some truly amazing beasts to offer us, covering both realistic monsters like the Anjanath and the Tobi-Kadachi, to the insane like the haunting Valhazak and the otherworldly Xeno'jiiva. On top of that, this game brought so many quality of life improvements to the standard Monster Hunter formula, and even just straight up improvements too. Stuff like the campsite allowing you to change your builds in the middle of a quest, multiple armor sets per monster, being able to move while healing and dodge roll out of any animations, the optional damage numbers popping up every time you hit the monster, and the turf wars, which made these monsters feel alive like nothing ever before. And it was because of all of these improvements and many more that Monster Hunter World brought more people into this series than any other title that came before. Monster Hunter World brought this series from being pretty well known but admittedly very niche to mainstream, and it was honestly kind of jarring, hearing so many friends of mine that are now into the game that I previously couldn't sell them on before. But with Monster Hunter World, I even got one of my best friends into this entire series, and the memories we made in this game are stories I still cherish today. The both of us tore through whatever content the base game had for us, making builds, mastering other weapons, finding my true love, and a personal challenge we had where we had to bully any Deviljho we could find. Honestly can't remember why, but it kept us busy. But then the Iceborne expansion was released, and honestly, we couldn't have been any more ready for it. I truly wish I had recorded our reactions to just looking around the new gathering hub and all the new stuff in Celiana, but needless to say, it's a priceless memory of mine. Going into Iceborne relit that same fire of seeing so many new monsters and even older ones coming back upgraded and better than ever before. But not long after Iceborne's final update, the next entry of Generation 5 would be Monster Hunter Rise and the Sunbreak expansion, which are both fantastic titles. Both Rise and Sunbreak delivered on very fun gameplay and amazing monsters to fight. And to this day, I still don't understand the whole Iceborne versus Rise situation, and I would rather save the brain cells it would take to understand it for literally anything else. Now, I know the intro may have painted a much more somber image than what it is in reality. Saying goodbye to the 5th generation isn't as sad as it might sound, because these games aren't going anywhere like all the others before them. They will always be there for us whenever we're ready to return, whether it be for a nostalgic return to familiar places, or a personal vendetta for those yet to bring down Fatalis. The reasons are many, and the games will always be there. Now, Monster Hunter World may not have been the game that started my love for this franchise as it was for many of you, but the appreciation I have for it cannot be understated. It showed me that the potential of this series is staggering, and the camaraderie in this community being on full display as I met and befriended so many people both online and in person thanks to these games. With all I am, I truly say thank you Capcom for these amazing games, and I thank each of you for watching my not-so-subtle love letter to a game that brought so many to this series. I look forward to seeing many of you as we start our new crusade into the 6th generation of Monster Hunter, and tame the Forbidden Lands for ourselves. But until we meet again, good hunting.